Terrified and haunted? Discover the sinister truths exposed in this spine-chilling play. The calm of Maplewood is shattered. It's twilight, and the air is thick with an unsettling chill. Lisa Johnson stands by her window, heart racing, breath hitching as she watches her friendly neighbor, Mr. Sullivan, behaving strangely. He's dragging something heavy, shadows twisting around him like sinister fingers. Lisa's gut tightens. An ordinary night should feel safe, but every flicker of the porch light feels ominous, a prelude to horror lurking just beneath the surface. Just paranoia, she tells herself, yet unease crawls up her spine. The night holds a chilling whisper, it's different tonight. She hears the scrape again, closer this time, mingling with a muted, frantic voice muffled by the walls of her home. It strikes a dissonant chord against the regular drumming of life in Maplewood, where glossy magazines paint idyllic pictures. Why does it feel like a dark underbelly lurks in this seemingly perfect neighborhood? Lisa shakes her head, trying to dispel the gnawing dread, but as she tucks the kids into bed, she can't ignore the creeping feeling something is off. Mark's late shift means she's alone, the silence of the house all-consuming. Just as she settles down, distant sirens scream through the calm. A chill grazes her skin, and her heart pounds. Shadows stretch across the street like fingers reaching for her. From her window, Lisa glimpses Mr. Sullivan again, his eyes fixed on her, his expression obscured by the evening gloom. Dread coiling in her chest, she leans closer, drawn to his eerie stillness. What is he hiding? The unshakable feeling of being watched sets her pulse racing. A pale moonlight reveals more than just Mr. Sullivan's shadow. It unveils secrets buried along Maplewood's tree-lined streets. A memory flickers whispers among neighbors about missing kids, families who left in the dead of the night. Were those tales intertwined with the folklore of their sleepy town, or were they merely the echoes of a vigilant mother's fear? Her thoughts churn. Could it be her imagination, or is there a dark thread connecting these stories? Panic flares at the edges of her mind. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Steeling herself, Lisa steps back to the living room, the voices next door becoming more frantic. A crash resonates, a sound that sends ripples of fear through her. Maybe tonight's ordinary errands would have been enough to dull her senses, but not now. Her children whisper nightmares, shadowy figures racing through their minds, hers too now, as she questions just how well she knows her neighbors. With every tick of the clock, a sense of something dreadful grows. The tender permit of suburban dreams crackles, replaced by an urge to scream. As the night deepens, she glances back toward Mr. Sullivan's house. Silence envelopes their street. Just moments ago, he was muttering, and now she hears nothing but the echoing laughter that seems to taunt her. A chill runs down her spine, a primal scream rises within. She knows she must confront him before Maplewood decides to swallow her whole under the weight of its secrets. Gripping the door handle, the cold sinks into her bones, and the air goes still. Dread envelopes her. In that moment, the door creaks open, revealing darkness, with laughter echoing still, a sound that snickers at her resolve. What hides beyond will haunt her dreams forever. Lisa hesitated, her heart racing like a wild animal in her chest. The door felt heavier than it should, as if it were sealing her away from whatever horrors lurked beyond. She inhaled deeply, trying to steady herself. This was her home, her sanctuary, but tonight, it felt like a cage. Shadows danced in the dim light of the porch, twisting and contorting, blurring the line between reality and nightmare. Stepping outside felt like an invitation for the unknown to consume her. But she also felt a pull, an irresistible lure urging her toward danger. Outside, the cool air was thick with tension, every inch of ground tinged with something unsettling. As she stepped into the harsh light, she scanned the yard, her eyes searching for Mr. Sullivan. The laughter hadn't entirely faded, it clung to the air, echoing in a way that seemed to mock her courage. Lisa moved slowly, each footfall cutting through the oppressive silence as she approached the edge of Sullivan's property. The noise died abruptly, replaced by a deep, unsettling quiet that seeped into her bones. Peering into the darkness of Mr. Sullivan's yard, she glimpsed a mound, the silhouette of something monstrous against the pale moonlight. Her stomach twisted. What could it be? Forcing herself, she took a tentative step forward. Mr. Sullivan. Her voice faltered, barely breaking the stillness. Are you out there? At that moment, the laughter returned, but it was different, harsher, more sinister. It was not Mr. Sullivan's voice, and for a split second, a flash of fear lit her mind like a bolt of lightning. Just then, a rustling emerged from behind the dark, looming figure of her neighbor's shed. Get back inside. A voice boomed, deep and menacing that it wasn't Sullivan. The figure emerged from behind the shed, tall and gaunt, shrouded in a cloak of darkness. Lisa's heart thumped violently as she backed up instinctively, but she couldn't look away. Dread rooted her to the spot. Please, just go back, the figure hissed. Its features were obscured, but something about the way it spoke felt eerily familiar. Lisa's breathing quickened. Panic clawed at her throat. Who was this? What did they want? She had to get inside, had to grab her children and run. But her feet felt glued to the ground. Suddenly, the lights flickered in her home, casting long shadows against the walls. The corners of the house darkened ominously, amplifying her fear. She couldn't take it anymore. She turned, sprinting toward her door. Don't look back. She screamed at herself, but the primal instinct to turn around overwhelmed her. A cold sweat trickled down her spine. Behind her, the figure loomed closer, moving with unnatural speed. You've awakened the truth, Lisa. It croaked, words dripping with malice. With a burst of adrenaline, she yanked the door open and dove inside, slamming it shut behind her. The cold, clammy air within felt suffocating, but she could hear it pounding at the door now, a relentless entity demanding entry. Lisa's breath came in shallow gasps as she pressed her back against the door, heart thundering, straining against the wood. What had she unleashed? The laughter outside was now joined by whispers, dozens of hushed voices swirling around her, the very walls of Maplewood echoing with secrets she never wanted to confront. Her children were upstairs, oblivious to the darkness penetrating her world. A chilling thought crept in. What if Maplewood wasn't just a sleepy neighborhood? What if it was something far worse, hiding in plain sight? She had to know the truth, but at what cost? As she locked the door, a low thud reverberated through the house. It was just the beginning. The imminent dread coiling tightly around her heart sang of inevitable horror. Every house had its secrets, but hers was about to unravel a truth she could never escape. Lisa's eyes darted toward the stairs, and as her trembling fingers brushed the railing, she knew she had to find out what lay within her own home. But the whispers grew louder, more insistent, wrapping around her mind like a vine. What awaited her in the shadows of Maplewood? In the quiet silence, dread settled deep, hinting at unspeakable horrors that had yet to be revealed. She had no choice but to walk deeper into that darkness to uncover what had been hidden for far too long. The air inside felt thick and charged, like the moment before a storm. Lisa held her breath, listening intently to the relentless pounding at her door. Each thud shook through her, a reminder that whatever lurked outside was not done with her yet. She could still hear the laughter, the annoying echo wrapping around her mind like a snake tightening its grip. Mom. A small voice broke through the tension, pulling her focus. Her youngest, Ellie, stood at the bottom of the staircase, eyes wide and innocent. Is everything okay? Panic clawed at Lisa's throat. How could she shield her children from the horrors just beyond the door? Stay upstairs, Ellie. Please, she whispered urgently. But the little girl fidgeted, that instinctive curiosity pulling her further down each step. Why are you scared? I heard you yelling. The innocence in her voice twisted like a knife in Lisa's heart. Just go to your room. The words seemed harsh, but the fear seeping through her veins demanded urgency. Ellie's brows knitted together, confusion mingling with concern. Before Lisa could take a step to coax her back, the heavy footsteps began, glassy and echoing, as if someone or something was shifting just outside the frame of her perception. Then, a loud crash reverberated, and Lisa's breath caught in her throat. The door shuddered violently, rattling against the frame like it might burst open. With each thud, the whispers crept closer, their ghostly allure pulling at the corners of her mind. She had to keep her children safe. Get back. Now. She shouted, panic fueling her words. In a blur of fear, Lisa dashed toward the pitch-black hallway, away from her child. If she could just make it to the kitchen, she could grab the knives or find anything she could use to defend against whatever terror waited just out of reach. She stumbled past family pictures on the walls, each frame now feeling like a forgotten memory. The faces of her husband and children smiled back at her, blissfully unaware of the nightmares creeping closer. The kitchen loomed ahead, a gateway to both refuge and oblivion. Suddenly, the whispers surged, growing louder and more pronounced, wrapping around her tightly. Lisa pressed a hand to her ears, as if trying to block out the words. You shouldn't have come back. You awakened us. The ominous voices dissolved into a cacophony of grating laughter. The sound chilled Lisa's blood. She had to fight them. With a leap, she sprang into the kitchen, skidding to a stop. The knife block sat gleaming under the stark, overhead light. But just as she reached for the largest knife, a deafening crack split through the air, and the doorframe shuddered. Her heart felt as if it would explode, wild and chaotic. With a sudden sickening realization, she turned. The dark figure from outside had breached her sanctuary. It stood framed in the doorway, no longer just a whisper of terror but a looming specter of dread, filling the space with a presence so heavy it stole her breath. Lisa, it hissed, voice slithering like smoke. You can't hide, it's too late. As its haunting form began to inch forward, Lisa stumbled backward, gripping the knife tightly, raw fear igniting her instincts. She had to protect her children, she had to find a way out, or it would consume them all. But could she fight what was already growth within her own home? The walls pulsed with the weight of secrets, memories unfurling like ribbons in the wind. Just as she steadied her stance, another noise cut through the haze, the soft creaking of the stairs. Lisa's heart sank. Had Ellie not listened? And then she heard it, a soft murmur in the whispers. One of you must join us. The threat loomed closer, the knife raised in trembling hands. Would she sacrifice everything to stand against the darkness that ruled Maplewood? As the very reality around her began to warp, Lisa knew the horror was just beginning, and she was trapped in a web of chilling choices. What would become of her family in this house filled with shadows? And how would she respond when faced with the ultimate betrayal? She couldn't back down. Not now, not ever. Lisa's mind raced as the shadow advanced, a dark, soulless figure that seemed to drink in the light surrounding it. She gripped the kitchen knife like a lifeline, its cold steel a feeble comfort against the horrors hovering at the edge of her vision. The whispers escalated, rising into a riotous chorus that bounced off the walls, taunting and mocking her every thought. Your family, your darkness, you brought this upon yourself, the figure hissed with a voice that dripped with venomous delight. She glanced at Ellie, standing frozen on the stairs. Fear painted her little face as she clutched the railing with trembling hands. Lisa's heart broke. She couldn't let her daughter see this fear. She had to muster every ounce of courage. Ellie! She yelled, though she could barely manage the strength. Go to your room. Now. But Ellie stood rooted, those innocent eyes wide, filled with confusion and fear so palpable it hurt. Mom! What is happening? She blinked, searching for reassurance, something she could cling to, but no comfort could be found here. Amidst the encroaching darkness, the figure lurched closer, shadows swirling around it like a cloak. Its visage twisted and warped, shifting into ghostly forms that pulled at Lisa's sanity. One of you must join us, it repeated, each word curling around her psyche like smoke. Do you feel it? The pull, the bond. Suddenly, the air felt heavy, thick with dread. The whispers morphed into something dire, a singular voice rising above the rest. Embrace your fate, Lisa. You cannot escape the ties that bind you. With desperation fueling her, she lunged past the wretched figure, racing toward Ellie. There had to be a way to shield her, to protect her from this nightmare. Hands shaking, she offered the knife to her daughter, her voice a fierce whisper. Take it. Protect yourself. Ellie's wide eyes darted between the knife and her mother. But Mom, I don't want to hurt anyone. Just trust me. Please. Lisa's throat burned with urgency. The figure recoiled slightly, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. Rage rippled across its features. Stop resisting. You cannot protect her. She will join us too. Ellie. Lisa commanded, her heart splintering as she took a step toward the being, drawing its attention. I'll buy you time. Run. Before the little girl could react, Lisa pushed forward, knife poised, ready to strike whatever twisted beast had invaded her home. But as she moved, the kitchen lights flickered, the shadows stretching like fingers reaching to claim her. The laughter from outside surged, filling the room, vibrating her very bones. Time slowed. Fear gripped her more tightly than the knife in her hand. Would this help her family? Or plunge them deeper into darkness? The figure lunged with an unnerving speed, and the knife gleamed in the short flash of light as Lisa swung. Contact never came. Instead, she froze as the entity dissolved into billowing smoke, swirling around her. The whispers became frantic, desperate. Not yet. It's not your time. Join us. You cannot fight your own blood. Horrifying answer lies within, a voice echoed, mingling with her own panic. In her distraction, she felt a tug at her mind, memories cascading, weaving into the present. She could almost see her husband's face. He had known this darkness. He warned her, but she dismissed him, thinking time made everything safe. But safety was a lie. All the while, Ellie stood watching, her innocence fumbling against the chaos. Lisa turned again to her daughter, shadowy tendrils erupting, grasping at the edges of her sanity. Ellie, listen. You have to trust me. Just then, the doors in the house rattled, echoes of distress resonating through the walls, each heartbeat paralleling the thudding chaos outside. Run! Lisa shouted, desperation clawing at her throat, but as Ellie turned, the entity's laughter distorted the air around them, echoing. You can't escape. She's ours like the others. Join us, or suffer. The dark laughter swallowed her words whole. Then, with a sudden gust, the figure dissipated, leaving behind a silence that felt heavier than any noise. Lisa stood, panting, eyes darting around, still clutching the knife, yet realizing she might have had more to lose than just her own life. Turning back, she saw Ellie, eyes wide, a growing sense of confusion evident. Mom, who are they? Lisa shuddered, thoughts racing. The truth clawed at her mind, the weight of her choices pressing down with suffocating terror. She had to protect Ellie, but what about the flicker of a shadow hidden deep within her? As the house seemed to absorb the darkness, she knew the worst was still yet to come. The laughter outside escalated, a chilling reminder that this facade of safety was crumbling. What if they weren't the only ones being hunted? As fear gripped her again, Lisa took hold of Ellie's hand, steeling herself for what lay ahead. They had moments, seconds to decide. Would they fight, or would they yield to the shadows clawing at their souls? She glanced toward the staircase, anticipations wrapped tightly around her, unsure of what awaited them next. They began to move, but the whispers continued, promising that the horror had just begun. The air inside the house felt electric, a thrumming pulse that matched the rapid beating of Lisa's heart. She grasped Ellie's hand tightly, the warmth of her daughter's small fingers offering slender comfort amid their encroaching dread. Shadows loomed larger, dancing along the walls, a sinister ballet that whispered of despair and madness. Mom, please. Ellie trembled, glancing back toward the kitchen where the darkness had lingered. I don't like it here. Neither do I, Lisa murmured, her voice shaking. But we have to keep moving. We can't let it catch us. They stepped cautiously toward the staircase, each creak of the wooden floorboards sounding like thunder in the suffocating silence. Lisa peered over her shoulder, half expecting the figure to re-emerge from the shadows. For a moment, the house felt eerie and abandoned, but she knew better. They were never alone. As they reached the bottom step, Ellie's gaze flicked to the side, catching a glimpse of something dark slinking past the doorway, a wisp of shadow daring them to follow. "Mom! Did you see that?" Ellie's voice quivered, fear blending with curiosity. "Yes. But don't chase it. It's just a trick," Lisa snapped, the urgency rising again. "Stay close to me." They turned to head upstairs, but the air grew dense, thick enough to choke her words. Another sound punctuated the silence, a low, guttural growl that seemed to draw closer with every heartbeat. Lisa's blood ran cold. Gripping the knife sterner, she urged Ellie onward as they ascended, the dim light above flickering ominously, casting long, twisted shadows along the walls. With each step up, the whispers returned. "You cannot escape, they are coming for you, you must embrace the darkness." The visions of her haunted past surged, her husband's warnings, the regret that had woven itself through their lives, festering into this nightmare. Memories of forgotten promises weighed on her, each breach pulling her deeper into the gloom. Before she could think clearly, a howl erupted outside, shaking the very bones of the house. It echoed out into the night, mixing with the sinister laughter that enveloped them. "We're not alone," Ellie whispered, eyes wide, glancing toward the window. "No," Lisa breathed, the realization hitting her like a meteor. "There are more of them, and we need to find shelter." With Derek, her husband, gone, she'd always relied on her instincts. Now, those instincts screamed to flee. They pressed onward through the darkness. In a desperate attempt at normalcy, Lisa led Ellie through the doorway of what once had been their cheerful family den, now draped in a suffocating gloom. Her heartbeat echoed in her ears as she inspected the room. Books and toys lay scattered, remnants of their once happy existence. The air carried a strange scent, a mix of decay and desperation. She turned to Ellie, who stood rooted just inside. "What do we do now?" Her daughter's voice trembled, a sob caught in her throat. "We find something, anything we can use. We'll barricade the door." Lisa's hands shook as she gathered chairs, heavy books, anything she could pile against the entrance. The whispers returned, yet now they carried a more sinister tone, laughter mingling with chilling suggestions. "Let her come, she'll never leave you, she belongs with us, shut up," Lisa yelled, throwing a chair across the room. It crashed against the wall, shattering the silence momentarily. Ellie flinched. "Mom!" Lisa crouched down to her level, forcing calm into her voice. "Ellie, we have to be strong. They want to break us apart." She felt the weight of her promise sinking in, the urgency pressing against her spirit like a physical force. "Stay by me." Whatever happens, a loud thud echoed from the other side of the door, causing them both to jump. Panic erupted in Lisa. "We're running out of time." Then she heard something more, whispers turning into distinct voices, calling out to her, "Lisa, Lisa, you can't hide from your own." A creeping dread washed over her as she realized the darkness was growing. The shadows seemed alive, pulsing with desperation. They were drawing near, and their numbers were multiplying. "Mom! We should not yet." Lisa interrupted, scanning the room frantically for any means of escape. Then, a window shattered, shards raining down as another figure emerged from the shadows, its form grotesque, eyes glowing with a hunger that chilled her to the bone. This was not over. The shadows gained substance, creeping closer, and the walls of her sanctuary rattled with promises of terror. "Mom, what do we do?" Ellie's voice wavered. "We fight. We fight together." But deep down, Lisa felt doubt creeping in like the darkness. The entity had returned, and with it, a terrifying truth edged closer. One final choice awaited them. How far would Lisa go to save her daughter? Just then, another howl shot through the air, louder and fiercer than the last. The true horror was just beginning to unfold. What waited on the other side of the door? The door rattled violently as if the creature on the other side could sense their fear, could taste the terror rolling off of them like warm blood. Lisa clenched Ellie's hand, feeling the child's small frame trembling beside her. Somehow, she had to find a way to empower her daughter, to ignite some spark of hope in the shadow of despair. The room felt sanctified yet suffocating, echoing with whispers that formed into dreadful sentences, drawing out Lisa's darkest memories. You could have protected him, you let him go. Stop it. Just stop. She screamed into the darkness, willing it to retreat. The echoes of regret clawed at her. Memories of Derek, of his warnings about the darkness creeping into their lives, stood like towering shadows in her mind. Ellie whimpered, "Mom, what if it gets inside?" "No." Lisa snapped, the finality in her tone harsh but necessary. "We won't let it. We won't give in." Searching desperately for a weapon, her gaze landed on the fireplace poker, gleaming dully in the dim light. She edged close and grasped it firmly in her grasp, its weight a reassuring presence in her trembling hands. "If it gets in here," she breathed, "we use this and fight. We have to stand together." The thud against the door intensified, a cadence of terror marking time in the still air, and Lisa could feel the walls closing in. With each booming impact, the whispers grew louder, wrapping around her mind like a vice, a sinister promise of despair. Join us, panic flared in her chest, burning hot and cold at the same time. "Ellie, we must," a loud crack interrupted her, and the door splintered at its hinges, a crevice forming where night filled the empty space. Lisa's heart raced, shadows began leaking through, sprawling across the floor like tendrils searching for life. "Mom!" Ellie screamed, her voice shrill and sharp with fear. In a moment of reckless courage, Lisa lunged forward, aiming the poker at the opening door. But the moment it touched the shadow, it fizzled, popping like a bubble, leaving her disoriented. "No! Stay back!" Lisa shouted, forced to sound brave even as her own doubts swirled. The shadows responded, slithering like ink spilled across white pages, rushing toward Ellie's tiny frame, swirling around the girl's legs. "Mom! It's trying to take me!" Ellie sobbed, stretching out her free hand desperately as if reaching for salvation. Time slowed. Lisa felt fury mixed with that icy fear, unleashing a primal scream that rattled through her veins. Launching herself toward the cacophony, she swung her weapon wildly, feeling the poker slice into the darkness. The shadows recoiled, but in the retreat, Lisa thought she glimpsed figures shifting within the gloom, naked and grotesquely familiar. Faces she had lost but still loved. Faces that twisted into haunting masks of sorrow. "Mom, it's them. I can see them." Ellie cried, eyes wide with horror, her voice cracking like fragile glass. "Ellie, focus on me. Focus on my voice." Lisa shouted, gripping the poker harder. "We have to stay away from them. We can't let them in." But deeper within the chaos, the whispers turned into laughter, grotesque and mocking, echoing around the room. "Lisa, bring her to us, we can keep her safe." A surge of anger propelled Lisa forward, forcing her to take a stance, protect her child at all costs. "Stay away." Another wild swing of the poker severed the darkness, carving space between them and the hellish gloom. Yet, the laughter turned shrill, more a screech than mirth now, drowning out her resolve. The door trembled under powerful forces, shadows churning like a boil. "Mom, they're getting in." Lisa backpedaled, panic clenching tighter until she could taste metal on her tongue. "We won't let it happen. We'll find a way out, we will." And just as she turned to gather Ellie close, the light overhead flickered and died. The only illumination left pulsed from the encroaching shadows, seeping into the corners like smoke. "Mom, I'm scared," a piercing howl erupted, mingling with her daughter's cries, a sound that sliced through the darkest night. This was the moment when choices had to be made. They had to fight, hide, or flee. But could they survive? The darkness thrummed, vibrating with life as it closed in. Lisa felt the hands of the shadows reach out to her, cold and relentless. Would she be able to save Ellie? A single question screamed in the silence: what would she sacrifice to protect her from the impending horror? In that moment, a chilling realization dawned as the door shattered completely, and with it, all semblance of safety. What had she been hiding from? The battle for their lives was only just beginning. The door crashed open, splinters flying like shrapnel. Blackness poured into the room, a living thing that slithered over surfaces and pooled at their feet. Lisa instinctively stepped back, pulling Ellie with her. They huddled together as the shadows spread, swirling like smoke, and the air grew thick with a suffocating presence. "Mom, it's getting closer." Ellie squeaked, her voice barely a whisper. Lisa's heart thundered in her chest. "We need to move." But as she turned toward the only window their potential escape, the shadows lunged, forming grotesque shapes that loomed and twisted. The laughter returned, now a cacophony of torment, like 1,000 souls caught in eternal anguish. "Let us help you, let us in no," Lisa shouted, grasping Ellie tight. "We need to find a way out." Just then, the fire poker slipped from her sweaty hands, clattering to the ground, and the shadows seemed to laugh harder, resonating as they pooled around the both of them. The flashes of familiar faces surged through the darkness, Derek among them, his eyes wide with sorrow. "You could save us," Lisa pleased. Grief clawed at her throat, but she shook her head. "No. You're not real. This isn't happening." Ellie struggled in her embrace. "Mom, make them go away. Stay with me," Lisa pleaded, her voice almost a sob. She stumbled backward, feeling the wall behind her. It was solid, a sliver of safety in a sea of chaos. But the shadows swarmed, tendrils whispering promises of power, of safety. "What if we could resurrect him, Lisa? What if you could have him back?" The idea struck her like lightning. Could she really bring him back? In her heart, she knew the answer. A cold dread settled over her. "He's gone, and I'm not letting you take my daughter." With a sudden surge of strength, Lisa grabbed the poker once more, focusing as Ellie pressed against her side. "We fight together. For us." Together, Ellie echoed, eyes still wide but filled with determination. Fueled by primal rage, Lisa hurled the poker into the encroaching darkness. This time, it pierced through a dark figure, and there was a scream sharp, unholy, and the shadows writhed in pain, recoiling. In that moment, a beam of faint light broke through the cloud of darkness. For a second, the room illuminated, casting long, skeletal shadows. Lisa caught a glimpse of what lay beyond the twisted faces of those lost, fading back into the night. The light flickered, and Lisa charged forward, pulling Ellie with her, toward the gap where the darkness seemed thinned. "Run!" Ellie sprinted, but Lisa stumbled, gasping as the shadows tightened their grip around her feet. "Mom! Come on!" With every step, Lisa felt her life force waver, the chill of the darkness biting at her ankles. She could hear the whispers now, clearer, Stay with us." Suddenly, the light flashed again, illuminating a doorway behind the shadows. It pulsed with hope, thrumming as if alive. "That way, Ellie. We have to reach it." But the shadows responded with a rage that sent waves of despair washing over them. They hissed and clawed, faces of anguish shrieking in unison. "You cannot escape us." As they drew nearer to the light, it felt like hope was slipping away. Was it taunting her? Was this another trap? "Mom! We can do this. Just a little more." Ellie's voice rang out like a lifeline, summoning the last remnants of her strength. Lisa lunged ahead, and together they dove into the light just as the darkness closed in. A shriek echoed through the air, followed by an eerie silence. Lisa's heart pounded, but the light enveloped them, shielding them from the shadows. As they emerged, breathless and trembling, they found themselves in another room, a mirror image of the one they'd just fled, but somehow brighter. The air felt fresher, yet every shadow still flickered at the corners like a lingering ghost. Where are we?" Ellie's voice trembled, searching the edges of the room. A chilling voice whispered from behind them, soft as silk yet laced with malice. Did you think you could escape me so easily? Lisa's stomach dropped as the realization hit her. They were not free. The darkness had merely followed, ready to ensnare them again. What lay ahead? Was there truly no escape? The darkness shifted, whispering promises of what could be yet again. The air grew colder, a layer of dread settling like a heavy blanket over Lisa and Ellie. The walls pulsated with a dim light, shadows stretching unnaturally across the floor, creeping closer with each labored breath they took. It felt like the walls were conspired against them, pressing inward, reminding them they were not alone. Do you think it's really gone? Ellie asked, her eyes darting about the room, wild with nervous energy. Lisa tightened her grip on her daughter's hand, refusing to let doubt seep into her mind. We're safe here, she whispered, though uncertainty gnawed at her. The voice lingered in the corners of the room, wrapping around her thoughts, chilling her resolve. Safe? Came the mocking voice again, a slithering sound that curled around them like smoke. You believe you can be free from me? You should know better. Who are you? Lisa shouted, her voice echoing, cracking against the walls. What do you want from us? I want nothing, the voice cooed, but to show you what you're truly capable of, to tempt you with the impossible. Another chill shot through Lisa, the shadows swirling aggressively, pulling her focus. Ellie trembled beside her, the child's fear radiating like a beacon. As Lisa scanned the room, she noticed a mirror hanging crookedly on the wall, its surface not reflecting the room as it should but revealing a stark void. In the heart of that void was a flicker of light, almost like the pulse of a heartbeat, calling to her with an eerie allure. Mom, don't look! Ellie cried, holding on to Lisa desperately. But the mirror felt like the answer they were searching for. Ellie, wait! Lisa drew closer, entranced. As she edged toward the reflective surface, the whispers intensified, intertwining with her thoughts. Derek's laugh, his sweet voice echoing of home and warmth. Bring him back, the shadows whispered, blending voices together, conjuring memories Lisa thought she'd buried. You have the power. Just tell me how. She shouted into the void, a surge of desperation surging within her. The surface of the mirror rippled, a chaotic swirl of possibility, and the light pulsed brighter, promising something beautiful amid their suffering. No! Ellie's terrified shout snapped Lisa back to reality. The words hung in the air, heavy and dark. It's tricking you. The shadows hissed, clawing at Lisa's feet as if to pull her into their depths. Fear binds you, child. But hope, that is pure poison, they slithered, hunger driving their voices. Suddenly, a vision tore through Lisa's mind, a moment stolen from time. Derek's gentle smile, his warm embrace. The emptiness that followed his absence. All it would take was one choice, one act of desperation. Could the shadows be lying, or were they merely seeds of hope? Her breath quickened, every heartbeat echoing loudly against the walls. If she reached into that void, Mom, no! Ellie screamed, pulling her back. The small girl's eyes shimmered with panic, grounding Lisa amid the chaos threatening to consume her. No! We shouldn't. Lisa hesitated, the mirror calling her, wrestling with the decision before her. Ellie's grip tightened around her hand, pulling her back to the light, the love that still burned in reality. Together, Lisa whispered, torn between reality and the illusion of a future she could have. Together, Ellie echoed, breath shaky but resolute, but as they stepped away, the mirror flickered and darkened, the once inviting light twisted into shadows, forming a swirling mass that pulsed with anger. The chilling voice echoed around them. You will regret this choice. It thundered, as the shadows surged, trying to reclaim what they had lost. As the room began to tremble, Lisa and Ellie braced themselves. Uncertainty loomed ahead, a storm of darkness. Mom, what do we do? Ellie's voice quivered as their escape route began to close in again, forcing itself toward the shadows filled with dread. Fight! Lisa cried, feeling the weight of the darkness pressing down, and their hands clasped tighter as they prepared for the onslaught that in that moment, panic entwined with bravery, leaving them standing on a precipice. When darkness screamed, how could they possibly respond? The shadows swelled, ready to devour them whole again, trapped in a battle between despair and a glimmer of hope. Outside, a fierce wind howled through the building, signaling that what lay ahead was beyond imagination. But as uncertainty surged, they understood one thing: there were choices to be made, and the shadows were waiting. The ground shook violently, rattling the very air around them. Lisa stumbled, pulling Ellie close, heart racing, terror gripping her throat. The walls trembled, echoing a deep groan, as if the building itself mourned the darkness lurking within. "Hold on to me!" Lisa shouted over the chaos, her voice rising above the cacophony of whispered threats and furious shadows. In the corners of the room, the darkness writhed and coiled, seeking to claim them. The flickering light from the mirror had now become a pulsing heart of despair, throbbing with a malevolent rhythm. Each pulse resonated within Lisa, breaking her resolve, teasing at the corners of her sanity. "Mom, I can't breathe," Ellie whimpered, her small frame shaking against Lisa's side. Lisa's mind raced. They could not let the shadows snatch them. "We won't let it win, Ellie," she insisted, taking a shaky step forward. "We're stronger than this." The whispering laughter grew louder, icy fingers reaching for them from every angle. "Stronger? You are falling into the abyss with every heartbeat." It mocked them, the voice full of venom, promising horrors beyond comprehension. Just then, the mirror warped, the void inside it swirling into a face: Derek's face. For a moment, belief flickered within her. His warm, familiar smile beckoned, pulling her closer. "Mom, come back!" Ellie cried, but Lisa's heart was a battlefield, torn between duty as a mother and the haunting call of her lost love. "Derek," she breathed, as if saying his name could rewind time. The smile widened, and Lisa felt a warmth radiate from the mirror, like sunlight breaking through the clouds. "We can be a family again, Mom!" Ellie screamed, breaking the spell, her tiny hands suddenly firm on Lisa's arms. "It's not him. It's a trick." The darkness exploded around them, the air thick with a sour stench of despair. Shadows lunged forward, their tendrils grasping, and Lisa felt a cool grip around her ankle, yanking her backward. Panic surged through her, raw and electric. The pull was like being submerged in ice-cold water, her body fighting against the onslaught. "Fight!" she screamed, pulling Ellie behind her. "We aren't giving up." With one forceful step, Lisa pushed forward, breaking the spell. She turned her back on the mirror, locking eyes with Ellie, a bond forged through their shared fear. "Together, we have to push it back." The moment intensified, both of them dancing on the edge of oblivion, embracing the tiny flicker of determination. Lisa began to chant what remained of her courage, her voice rising to a demand. "We will not be claimed. We will choose love." As the shadows writhed, Lisa felt warmth bloom in her chest. It was the light of love, igniting her heart like an unquenchable flame. Ellie's hand squeezed tighter around her wrist, their connection stronger than the dark tendrils, but just as hope surged forward, the ground trembled again, the voice booming louder, vicious. "You will pay for your defiance." In that moment, the mirror exploded with light, blinding them. They shielded their eyes, feeling the force of the blast push them backward. As the shadows recoiled, swirling like a storm caught off guard, Lisa and Ellie flung themselves toward the far wall, where safety felt like a distant dream. What now?" Ellie stammered, her voice barely a whisper. "What now?" A calm but sinister tone came from the center of the chaos. "Now you'll witness what I can truly do." The air thickened with dread as Lisa's heart sank. Shadows began to take form, crafting something grotesque, a looming specter of all their fears. An echo of Derek, twisted into a nightmarish version of himself, emerged from the remnants of the void. "Ellie, it's not real. It's just a trick," Lisa shouted, but doubt slithered through her heart. The spectre loomed closer, casting a long, shadowy hand over them. Then the whisper, a promise veiled in terror, floated through the air. "Join me, it's time to embrace your fate." As the spectre stretched forward, Lisa felt their bond flicker. Would they face the truth of their choice, or would shadows overtake them? In the depths of despair, a choice still lay ahead, and the darkness yearned for an answer. The darkness pulsed, alive with malice as the spectre's hollow eyes searched for their fear, seeking to exploit it. Lisa's grip tightened around Ellie's small hand, the only radiant warmth in a world turned cold. "Don't look away, Ellie," she urged, her voice unwavering despite the terror swirling around them. "We're stronger than it thinks." With every step the shadowy figure took, the air grew thicker, as if soaking up their courage. Lisa knew fear could bind them, but it couldn't control them. "We will not join you," she shouted, her voice rising over the deafening whispers that seemed to claw their way into her mind. With her other hand, she gripped the fire poker tightly, a symbol of her fight against despair. "Come to me," the spectre crooned, Derek's face twisted in its grotesque mimicry, a haunting taunt that threatened to unravel her resolve. "You can't fight a love that lives on." But that love was gone, it had faded into memory long ago. "We won't be swayed," Lisa declared defiantly. "You are not him. You are nothing but a shadow." Ellie squeezed her hand, filling her with strength. "That's right, Mom. We're not afraid of you." The conviction in her young voice fueled Lisa's courage, igniting a fire deep within her. With a roar that resonated in her chest, Lisa lunged forward, brandishing the poker. "You'll not take my daughter." The spectre recoiled, a distorted howl escaping its lips, an echo of anguish. Lisa pressed on, her heart racing, fueled by desperation and love. "We'll face you together." Moments stretched into eternity as they stood united against the writhing darkness. In that instant, Ellie lifted her chin, the fear in her eyes replaced by a fierce determination that mirrored Lisa's own. The shadows surged forward, angry and relentless, but Lisa felt a shimmering shield enveloping them, their love, their bond, a protective barrier against the overwhelming horror. Together, they shouted in unison, a burst of resilience reverberating in the shadow-laden room. The spectre faltered, its form flickering as if the very essence of their hope tugged at its edges. "This ends now," Lisa cried, thrusting the poker toward the heart of the darkness swirling around them. It struck the ground, the impact rippling outward like a seismic wave. The shadows writhed and shrieked, the air alive with chaotic battle cries. As the light burst forth, washed in brilliance, Lisa realized the truth: they could not defeat the darkness with hatred or fear, they needed to embrace what they loved most. "We are not your prey. We choose love." Suddenly, a blinding light erupted from Ellie's small form, enveloping them in warmth that pierced through the encroaching shadows. Lisa felt a rush of clarity: they were more than battlegrounds of fear, they were their own power. With newfound strength, they propelled forward together, defying the gnawing whispers. Together, they became a force against the encroaching darkness, glowing like embers caught in a whirlwind, illuminating the corners of fear. In one final surge, they propelled the would-be spectre backward. A horrendous scream erupted from it, the kind that chilled the very bones of reality, as it dissolved into tiny particles, sucked into a void left in the wake of their determination. The room fell silent, the shadows dissipating into nothingness. Light flooded the space, filling it with life and hope as Lisa and Ellie stood breathless, bodies trembling from adrenaline and fear, yet fortified by the experience shared between them. "Is it over?" Ellie whispered, staring at the now vacant space that had once felt so oppressing. For the first time, Lisa noticed the sunlight creeping through the remaining cracks in their home, illuminating the darkness that had spiraled around them for too long. "I think it is," she answered gently, pulling her daughter into a warm, reassuring embrace. Tears flowed freely down her cheeks, but this time they were tears of relief. "We did it, Ellie. We faced it, together." As they stepped out into the world beyond, the remnants of their nightmarish encounter gradually transformed into something new, a promise for the future, hope reborn from darkness. Maplewood held its normalcy again, innocence reclaiming the streets once blanketed in fear. They would remember what happened but look to the light ahead. It was not the end of their story but rather a new chapter, one filled with laughter, love, and tenacity that could never be overshadowed by darkness again. With hearts intertwined, they ventured forward, ready to carve a new life, free from the weight of fear. A chapter closed, a victory won. Now, if you've enjoyed this journey with Lisa and Ellie, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and ensure you're part of this incredible adventure. Don't wait even one more second, we want to hear your reactions and theories. Flood the comments section. And remember to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support means the world. Show what true fans do.